Imagine a world where video games never existed. No open worlds to explore, no multiplayer battles with friends across the globe, no stories that made you cry harder than any movie ever did. Sounds like a pretty empty world, right? But here is something even wilder to think about. The entire universe of gaming that you love today, every genre, every mechanic, every technology behind it, all of it traces back to just a handful of games. Games that were so far ahead of their time that they did not just entertain people, they completely rewired what human beings believed was possible inside a screen. Today on the Inventor realm, we are going inside the 10 video games that did not just change gaming, they changed everything. And trust me, by the time we get to number 1, your jaw is going to drop at how deep this rabbit hole actually goes. So stay locked in, because this is going to be one of the most eye-opening videos on this channel yet. Let us start with number 10, and we are going back to the very beginning. The year is 1972. There is no internet. There are no game consoles sitting under your TV. Most people do not even know what a video game is. And then Atari releases Pong. Now, before you roll your eyes and say it is just 2 paddles and a bouncing dot, I need you to understand the cultural earthquake this tiny game caused. According to the book, The Ultimate History of Video Games by Stephen L. Kent, published in 2001 and considered one of the most thorough accounts of gaming history ever written, Pong was the first commercially successful video game in American history. The original arcade cabinet was placed in a bar called Andy Capp's Tavern in Sunnyvale, California, and within 2 days, the machine broke down, not because it was defective, but because it was so overflowing with quarters that the coin mechanism physically jammed. Atari went on to sell over 8,000 Pong arcade units in its first year alone. This was the moment the world realized that people would willingly pay money to interact with a screen for entertainment. Every game you have ever played, every dollar the gaming industry has ever made, which according to Statista crossed $184 billion globally in 2023, it all starts right here with 2 paddles and a bouncing square. Moving to number 9, we jump to 1978, and we meet the game that taught the world what a high score actually meant. Space Invaders, developed by Taito Corporation in Japan and designed by Tomohiro Nishikado, was not just a shooting game. It was a psychological revolution. Before Space Invaders, arcade games were passive experiences. You played, you finished, you walked away. Space Invaders introduced something that had never existed before in mainstream gaming, the concept of increasing difficulty as a core mechanic. As you destroyed the alien rows, the remaining invaders moved faster, creating an escalating sense of panic and pressure that players had never experienced. According to research published by the Museum of Play, which is part of the World Video Game Hall of Fame in Rochester, New York, Space Invaders was so popular in Japan that it caused a temporary shortage of 100 yen coins across the country. Arcades dedicated entirely to Space Invaders machines opened across Japan and the United States. The game is also credited with inventing the high score system as a public leaderboard, which became the foundational framework for competitive gaming and eventually evolved into the esports industry you see today, which Newzoo valued at over $1.38 billion in 2022. Number 8 takes us to 1980 and one of the most recognized pieces of pop culture on planet Earth, Pac-Man. Created by Toru Iwatani at Namco and released in Japanese arcades in May of 1980, was a deliberate attempt to bring a new kind of person into the gaming world. Iwatani has stated in multiple interviews, including one documented by the Smithsonian American Art Museum's The Art of Video Games exhibit, that he designed Pac-Man specifically to appeal to women and couples because at the time arcades were seen as aggressive, male-dominated spaces full of shooting games. His solution was a game with no violence, a cute main character, and a simple concept built around eating and being chased. The result was the best-selling arcade game in history. According to figures cited by the Guinness World Records, Pac-Man generated over $2.5 billion in quarters during the 1980s alone, and the franchise has since earned an estimated $14 billion globally. More importantly, Pac-Man proved that games did not have to be violent or complex to be massive, which opened the door for an entirely new category of casual gaming that directly leads to the mobile gaming explosion decades later. We are at number 7, and we arrive at a moment that saved an entire industry from collapse. By 1985, the video game market in North America had crashed so badly that retailers were selling Atari cartridges for as little as $1 just to get them off shelves. The crash of 1983, documented extensively in Game Over, How Nintendo Conquered the World by David Sheff, had destroyed consumer confidence in video games entirely. And then Nintendo released Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System. Designed by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka, this game did not just save Nintendo, it resurrected an entire industry. According to Nintendo's own corporate history data, Super Mario Bros. Sold over 40 million copies on the NES, making it the best-selling video game of its era. The game established virtually every design principle that modern platformers still follow today: power-ups, progressive world design, secrets hidden in the environment, and a reward loop so perfectly tuned that players could not put the controller down. The way Super Mario Bros. Structured its first level, World 1-to-1, is still studied in game design universities worldwide as one of the most elegant examples of teaching players through gameplay rather than instruction. This is the game that rebuilt trust between consumers and the gaming industry. Right here, before we go further, if you are finding this video valuable and want to keep up with content like this every week, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell so YouTube actually shows you our new uploads. We put real research into every video on the Inventor realm, and there is a lot more coming that you are not going to want to miss. Now let us get back to the list, because number 6 takes a sharp turn into darkness. The year is 1993, and a small company called id Software releases Doom, and nothing in gaming is ever the same again. Doom, created by John Carmack and John Romero, was not the first-person shooter, but it was the game that defined the genre so completely that 4 years afterward, all FPS games were called Doom clones by the gaming press. According to David Kushner's book Masters of Doom, which remains one of the most detailed accounts of the game's development, Doom was estimated to have been installed on more computers than Microsoft's own operating system, Windows 95, within its first 2 years of release, a claim that Bill Gates himself reportedly acknowledged. Doom was groundbreaking for multiple reasons. It introduced true 3D-style environments through Carmack's revolutionary game engine. It pioneered networked multiplayer gaming through a system called death matching, which is the direct ancestor of every online multiplayer mode you play today. It also became one of the first games to be distributed as shareware, where the first episode was free and players could copy and share the files freely, essentially creating the first viral digital distribution model in gaming history, decades before the Steam store existed. Number 5, and we go back to Nintendo for a moment, because 1998 gave us something that genuinely changed how human beings experience storytelling in 3 dimensions. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, developed by Nintendo EAD under producer Shigeru Miyamoto, with Eiji Aonuma serving as dungeon director, is consistently ranked as one of the greatest video games ever made by virtually every major outlet that has ever compiled such a list, including IGN, GameSpot, and Time magazine. But what made it historically transformative was its solution to a problem that had plagued every 3D game before it. How do you make combat in a 3-dimensional space feel precise and natural? The answer was the Z-targeting system, a lock-on mechanic that Ocarina of Time pioneered and that has since been replicated in hundreds of games across every genre. According to Nintendo's internal development documentation, cited in various game design retrospectives, the team essentially had to invent new design language from scratch because no one had ever made a fully realized 3D action-adventure world before. The game also introduced context-sensitive buttons, a UI design philosophy that meant the same button did different things depending on where you were and what you were doing, an approach so intuitive that it became a standard across the industry almost immediately. We are at number 4, and this one fundamentally changed what players believed a game could say. Half-Life, released by Valve Software in 1998, took the first-person shooter format that Doom had established and asked a question no one had asked before. What if instead of just killing things, you actually lived inside a story? Half-Life placed players in the role of Gordon Freeman, a scientist at a research facility, and told its entire narrative without a single cutscene. You were never pulled out of the game's perspective. Every story beat happened around you in real time while you were in control. According to a 2014 retrospective published by PC Gamer, this design decision, which Valve called environmental storytelling, revolutionized how game developers thought about narrative immersion. Half-Life went on to win over 50 Game of the Year awards and was named PC Game of the Year by nearly every major publication. Its modding community, empowered by Valve's decision to release development tools to the public, produced Counter-Strike, one of the most played multiplayer games in history, and Team Fortress, another franchise that shaped competitive gaming permanently. Valve's philosophy of trusting the community with creative tools directly influenced how companies like Minecraft and Roblox were later built. Number 3, and we arrive at the moment the open world genre became a cultural phenomenon. Grand Theft Auto 3, released by Rockstar Games in October of 2001, was not the first open world game, but it was the first to make the concept feel genuinely alive and consequential. Developed by DMA Design, which later became Rockstar North, GTA 3 placed players in a fully three-dimensional city where they could go anywhere, do anything, and experience a fully voiced cinematic story. According to NPD Group sales data cited by multiple gaming publications, GTA 3 sold over 14 million copies on the PlayStation 2 alone, making it one of the fastest-selling games in history at the time of its release. More importantly, it redefined player agency. For the first time, players felt that the world did not wait for them. Traffic moved, pedestrians walked, police patrolled, and the city breathed whether you were engaged with the mission or not. Every open-world game that followed, from the Elder Scrolls series to Red Dead Redemption to Cyberpunk 2077, owes its design DNA directly to what GTA 3 established in 2001. The game also sparked one of the most significant cultural debates about video game content in history, bringing gaming into congressional hearings and leading directly to the broader awareness of the ESRB rating system. Number 2, and this is where gaming stopped being a hobby and started being a world people lived inside. World of Warcraft, launched by Blizzard Entertainment in November of 2004, did not invent the massively multiplayer online role-playing game genre, but it scaled it to a level that the world had never imagined possible. According to Blizzard's own published data, WoW reached 12 million active subscribers by 2010, generating over $1 billion per year in subscription revenue at its peak. But the numbers only tell part of the story. WoW created persistent social structures inside a game. People formed relationships, friendships, and even romantic partnerships through guilds. Psychologists began studying WoW players to understand new forms of social organization. According to a study published in the journal Computers in Human Behavior in 2007, researchers found that WoW players exhibited genuine team-building behaviors and leadership skills that transferred into real-world professional contexts. The game essentially pioneered the concept of games as social platforms, a philosophy that now drives Fortnite's live events, Roblox's virtual concerts, and the entire concept of the metaverse that tech companies spend billions trying to build today. And number 1, the game that changed everything for every kind of person on Earth, whether they considered themselves a gamer or not. Minecraft, created by Marcus Persson, known as Notch, and initially released in 2009 before its full launch in 2011, is not just the best-selling video game in history. It is a phenomenon that defies every category we use to describe games. According to Microsoft, which acquired Minecraft developer Mojang in 2014 for $2.5 billion, Minecraft has sold over 238 million copies across all platforms as of 2023, making it the single best-selling video game ever made by a margin that no other title comes close to matching. But what makes Minecraft historically transformative goes far beyond sales numbers. Minecraft proved that a game does not need photorealistic graphics, a massive publisher, a marketing budget, or even a traditional win condition to become the most beloved game in human history. It is built entirely on procedural generation and player creativity, meaning the game builds itself differently every time and then hands you complete freedom to do whatever you want inside it. Minecraft is used in over 115 countries as an official educational tool, according to Microsoft's own Education Edition data. It has been used to teach everything from mathematics and architecture to history and computer programming. It has been used by NASA to simulate Mars terrain for educational outreach. It inspired an entire generation of independent game developers who saw what one person with a creative idea could build and decided they could do the same. The modding community around Minecraft has produced some of the most innovative game design experiments ever created. And at its core, what Minecraft really changed was the fundamental relationship between a game and its player. You are not completing Minecraft, you are living inside it. That shift from player as participant to player as creator is the philosophical foundation on which modern gaming is being built right now. So there you have it, 10 games, 50+ years of history, and a single thread connecting all of them. Each one looked at what games were supposed to be and decided to do something completely different. Pong made entertainment interactive. Space Invaders made it competitive. Pac-Man made it universal. Super Mario Bros. Made it trustworthy again. Doom made it online. Ocarina of Time made it three-dimensional in every sense of the word. Half-Life made it cinematic. GTA 3 made it alive. World of Warcraft made it social, and Minecraft made it infinite. If there is one thing this list proves, it is that the most important games are never the ones that followed the rules. They are always the ones that were brave enough to break them. And that is the spirit of everything we cover here on the Inventor realm. If you want to see more deep dives like this one into the history, science, and future of gaming and technology, subscribe to the Inventor realm right now. Every single video we make is built on real research, real sources, and a real passion for understanding how the things we love actually came to be. We will see you in the next one.